Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first Ask Becky. I'm Becky from Northern Star Guidance. And I just want to first of all thank everyone for watching this, and thank you for writing to me with your very personal issues that you are facing right now. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for entrusting me with that and feeling that you can be open with me. So absolute gratitude to you guys out there. You are Northern Star Guidance. You guys make it up. There'd be no Northern Star without you guys, so thank you very much. I'm just going to jump straight in. So the very first one that I've got is, Dear Becky, I'm not currently looking for love, but I want to, but I feel like I don't love myself. How do I appreciate me more? From Anonymous. Well, first of all, can I just commend you for recognizing that you want to love and appreciate yourself more before jumping into another relationship. It's something I'm sure many of us can relate to. I've gone down that path so many times before where I haven't been ready for a relationship and I haven't loved myself enough, but I have looked for that love outside. I've looked for the external source of it. So like, I'm really in awe that you're able to recognize that. You're able to say, you know what, I really want love, but I want to love me more first. It's like starting strong, isn't it? And when you've got that bond with yourself, that internal strength, you can forge brilliant relationships going forward. That's something that I'm highly aware of now, and something that I'm trying to promote among people, is to find to do the healing first, basically. So my biggest self-love tip ever is treat yourself as if you're someone else. So have a think about how you show up for other people. How do you do it? Are you caring, kind? Do you look after people? So just imagine that you are another person that you've got to take care of. I know it sounds a bit bizarre, and it's something that I do in my meditation sessions. I do visualization with people. So getting to work with your inner child, which I call your inner light being. It's that part of you that is completely untouched. It's the purity in you of who you were when you were born. Because no child is born with low self-esteem or underconfident or not loving themselves. We wouldn't learn to walk. We wouldn't, there's so many things that we wouldn't be able to achieve if we were born with those insecurities. So this is why a lot of coaches, therapists and that will do inner child work. And it's nothing to do with your childhood. It's just finding that part of yourself that is your core, that is the core of who you are. And in the visualization, I say, like, go inside, go into yourself and look for that light being. Find that, like, I envision them as a little child that is a big ball of golden light. They're just radiant golden lights, and you can't see it. I can't see a face on them, like a facial expression and that. But when I feel like I need to do work with them, they're always sort of crouched down and holding themselves. And that's how I visualize my inner child, my inner light being. And just imagining that that is an actual child. How would you treat that child? How would you care for that child? And just taking that time to show up for your inner child, for your inner light being, the way you would for other people. What are their needs? Do they need a hug? Do they need understanding? Do they need comforting? So I think that's one of the hardest things that we struggle with when it comes to self-love. How do you love yourself? I think especially in Western society where we're encouraged to be humble and we misunderstand that sometimes. There's a link I sent you. It's so funny. I take YouTube on last night to look for some Zen music. Now I watch a lot of TED Talks, and this one I have seen advertised so many times. It's called The Art of Being Yourself by Caroline McHugh, which is MCHUGH. Highly recommend it to everyone. She's fabulous. Love the way she puts her ideas across. Love her ideas. But there's something she said about basically thinking, oh, what was it? Oh no, I should have wrote it down. It was like 2 a.m. when I watched it, and I just instantly linked it to you and didn't even explain the context of it. But she talks about thinking less of yourself. Like when we put that sort of focus on us, of how we look and how we are and stuff like that, when we're doing it sort of consciously, she was talking about like the difference between being selfish and self-care basically. But she had this, oh, I'm feeling terrible now. I do apologise. I'm going to have to find it and put it in the comments for this section because it's going to drive me crazy. But yeah, have a watch through that. There's some really interesting things that she says. And I completely agree with that we're all doing this. We're all guilty of doing it. So when you're speaking or interacting with other people, they're thinking the same as you. They're thinking, how do I look? How am I coming across? You know? And that's the thing, when you meet someone who is completely comfortable with themselves, it shows that that is not going on in their head. They're just there. They're just being present. And they're focusing more on you and what you're saying and listening and stuff like that. Does that make sense? Anyway, I'll pull some cards for you in a bit. I'm just going to go over to... Oh, sorry, there was another little bit. I wrote notes for myself. Right, yeah, rewriting your stories. Have a think about what you are telling yourself that makes you feel underconfident or uncomfortable. What are those stories that you're telling yourself? Because more often than not, we're keeping ourselves down. We're keeping ourselves down in that sort of victim mindset of the things we've gone through and the things we've suffered, and we don't want to go through those things again. So I'd say write those down. Write down those thoughts that you have that put you in that negative mindset. And then I want you on the page opposite it or on a piece of paper next to it to rewrite them. Rewrite those stories where you focus on how strong you are and how much you've got through. If you think about everything that you have got through to get to this point, can you not appreciate yourself from that perspective? That, wow, yeah, I survived that. I went through some really rough times and I come out the other side and I'm still here. You gotta give yourself some credit for that because you did it. So by rewriting those, I love writing things down. If you're wanting to make changes, even just doing free association writing, it's called, where you just start. You could start it as a letter. Start it as if it's to someone that's hurt you, something I do. If someone's hurt or upset me, I'll write it like a letter and never send it to them. And it can't be like an email. You've got to write it on pen and paper. Why? Because you're 3 times sticking it in your head then. You've got to think about what you're saying. And then you write, so your brain is focusing on doing the writing, and then you're reading back on it as well. So it ingrains that. So when you're writing out those stories and writing them from a perspective of strength, you're telling your brain to focus on them now. I do it with my body. So, I mean, I've always had a tummy anyway. But after carrying 2 really big babies, I have got the biggest mum tum ever. I went from an hourglass figure to being an apple, basically. And I remember seeing, it was a post on a parenting group, and everyone was sharing their post-baby bellies, which was fantastic. It was so empowering to see everyone else and not see these celebrities that instantly look like they never got pregnant in the first place. And they probably have to spend a lot of money to do that. I mean, fantastic if they don't, and also if that makes them happy and fulfilled, that's fantastic too. But for me, I am just left with this scarred stomach, and I know so many mums are conscious of that. When that happens to them, your body goes through some massive changes. And I remember after my first child, my daughter, seeing this post with everyone sharing their bellies, and this woman who was like ex-military, I loved the way she talked about her body. She was like, this body has got me through 2 rounds of Afghanistan, and it also carried like 11-pound baby. This trooper, she, referred to her stomach as a trooper. And I loved that. I thought that is such a positive way to appreciate what your body does for you on a daily basis. And if you think even, so what I always say, be grateful for what you've got. Be grateful that you can walk. Be grateful that there's so much that you can do, that there's some people that are born that are unable to do, or they suffer horrific accidents and they're not able to do it as well. And it kind of, it puts you in that frame of mind then of, my body is doing so well. But then, I watch a lot of videos from people who are disabled or missing limbs or dwarfism, and they are rocking life. They don't miss a beat of it. They're just out there pushing themselves and still appreciating what their bodies can do, what their minds can achieve. So just have a think of that. Have a think from that sort of perspective, or give that a go. It can take a very long time to change it. You've just got to keep repeating it. Keep repeating it. The more we repeat things, the more it becomes a habit. And the more you tell your brain to think a certain way, then it will start rewiring itself to think like that. Okay, hope that's been of help. So second one I got. Dear Becky, I've been married for almost 10 years. There have been many ups and downs, including emotional abuse, manipulation, and even a nervous breakdown. Due to religious beliefs, divorce is frowned upon. I'm worried if I stay, I will lose who I am forever. I worry if I leave, I'm making a huge mistake. We have 2 boys together, and he claims that he has changed. This back and forth has gone on for years, and I don't know what to do still. I don't know which direction my life will take. So first of all, I want to thank you so much for reaching out to me and sharing your story. It resonated so much with my own story of my marriage, to a degree. There was different problems that we faced, and I think the basis for our relationship was always on unsteady ground, but I resonated a whole lot with it. So my first question for you is, have you already left the connection? Strip back all the buts, all the religious beliefs, the fact that you've got children, all that, strip that all away and just ask, have you already made this choice in your heart that you want to leave? I won't ever tell someone what to do in a relationship in that respect. That is entirely your choice and your decision. But in my own experience, I had 2 nervous breakdowns. I had a nervous breakdown the day before I left my husband. It was work related, but it was just life related in general. But I had a breakdown then, and I had another breakdown last year as well. And I found that happens when I've already made a choice, but I'm not acting on it. That is how I see a nervous breakdown, is your body and your mind communicating with you that it can't cope anymore. It can't cope under the pressure of it. So it just shuts down. And it's such a draining thing to go through, especially if you're going through it repetitively, or things change for a little while and then you're going back and it's into the same circumstance. But once you know the answer to that question of whether you've made that choice already in your heart, then you can start thinking about the next steps from that. I think I think I knew for 8 years that I wanted to leave my husband. I think it was just before I had my daughter. And I questioned it a lot. I didn't want to be there at all. I thought, God, I'd made the worst mistake ever by getting married. And we went on for another 8 years and had another child on top of that. Sorry. Just thinking where I was going with that. I do apologise, I'm dyslexic and my brain sort of bounces around from one thing to another, so do bear with me when that happens. So, in every relationship situation, you need to be looking for where your power of choice is. So if you've already made this choice, you've already made this decision, and it's all the buts that are holding you back, at least then you know where your heart is. You can connect with that, and then you can think the next steps and the next strategy for that. So something you've mentioned there is that he claims that he's changed. Once again, if you've made the other choice that, you know, you've still got that connection and that you do want to work on it in it. I sent you a link to my webinar. I will put that in my bio as well for anyone that wants to watch that. But there's a little section towards the end there about if you can save a relationship. And I've got a series of questions there to ask yourself. Are they willing to work on it with you? That is one of the most important questions, because to have a solid relationship, both people or all parties involved need to be working together. If you're doing all the work and he's not, then it's not going to work. It becomes imbalanced. And that's when the resentment comes up, and that's when things start getting toxic then, because you're both resenting each other. That's the other thing, is that we can't change people. And that's something I realised with my own husband. And it's only now in retrospect, after 2 years, we separated. We separated 2 years ago, and we're now going through divorce. But it's only been over the last year or so, I thought, wow, that was spending those extra 8 years after I knew in my heart that I did not want to be in that relationship. You know, in a way, I felt bad for that, because I spent 8 years trying to fit him into a mold that I had for him. That's me owning my shit on that relationship. And, you know, there was faults on his side, there was faults on my side, but I realised that I was trying to make him fit a mold. And that was not fair of me to put on him either. And I think in a way that contributed to a lot of the problems that he gave to me then as well, because he was just being him. And I was just wanting him to be someone else, or be a different way. Sorry, my dog's coming. So yeah, have a look at that webinar. Have a look at that last part. There's 3 questions there. Like, is it repairable? Has he crossed the line that can't be repaired? Because once our trust is broken, I think when we've suffered a lot of the same cycle over and over again with a person, it just gets to a point where we can't trust them anymore. It feels very much like you can't trust his words right now, and I'd say just look at his actions. This is my dog Kimmy, by the way. Yeah, because actions always speak louder than words. So if he is on board for changing and you want to accept that change and you want to work through it, then that's great. Give that a shot. If you've already made that decision, I'd ask you to ask yourself, how many more years can you keep living the lie? That sounds really harsh. I don't want it to sound harsh at all. But I felt so drained in my marriage. And I look back at pictures of me and I look old. And it's like my spirit had just completely drained. That was something that really hit home when you said about losing yourself. Worried if I stay, I'll lose who I am forever. I completely lost myself. I was so not connected with the person that I used to be when I met my husband. I was a bubbly, larger-than-life person that was out at parties and so sociable, and I'd just become this, I just shrank. It just stripped everything away from me, and I can only say from the other side of things. Oh, sorry about that, got interrupted. Yeah, the only thing I can say from the other side of that, having gone through separation, I mean, that is, I know there's the issue with religion. The only thing I can say on that is think about what's best for you, your children, and your husband as well. And you don't have to divorce straight away. If you feel that you will heal better and you will feel better with that space and that time apart, separate, see what happens from there. Just take it one step at a time and not worry about that end result just yet. Yeah, like I was saying, the only thing I can say is from the other side of that I am a much happier person, and therefore I am a much better parent to my children, because for years they were just watching me be a shell of myself and watching their mum and dad argue all the time. And something I say, or something I think, that the reason relationships struggle so much is based on how we saw relationships when we were growing up. I found it interesting that both me and my former husband, were from single parent families that that at some point had settled for someone rather than finding someone they had a true connection with and having a solid relationship with. So I found it interesting that we sort of repeated that history of our parents then. And it's something I thought, how do I want my kids' life to be as well? If it's something that you can't find the strength to do for yourself, think about it from the perspective of your children. And it is completely possible to have a happy divorce. Me and my ex communicate so much better now. That once again, this is down to how willing both parties are. And I'm very, very thankful and grateful that both of us have had the grace and the ability to keep a good friendship, to keep good communication. And he's found a wonderful partner who compliments him and accepts him how he is. And she's fantastic with my kids. And I found a partner that accepts me as I am. And everyone's just got a lot less stress, a lot of less toxicity in our lives. So it hits it, it's not easy. But once you get past that shock of it and you start healing I can just say from the other side that I wholeheartedly made the right choice, because it was the right choice for me, and that was also the right choice for my family, for all of us, including my ex-husband. So I really hope that helps, and please feel free to give me a shout and let me know how you get on. Right, I will just pull some oracle cards for you both. I was hoping to do like a full little 3 spread, but I don't want to rely on the tarot cards. I love doing little tarot readings and seeing what themes come up. Saying that, I'm using the Secred Rebel cards, and I always say that these are better than a tarot reading. Just a single card of these really gives you something, gives you food for thought, gives you something to think about. Okay, I've got Legacy of Light for the first person. Oh. We've got Listening for Truth for our last inquirer there. Let's find the book now. Okay, this one is Legacy of Light for our first anonymous. Do you know what? I'll turn the camera around as well so you can see it. In fact, no, that's fine, isn't it? You see it there. Okay. You are being asked to honour the legacy of light that is your sacred birthright. Take nourishment and support from those that have come before you, your ancestral lines, not only in blood but also in spirit. Perhaps these are beings that have inspired and motivate you to live as a sacred rebel, from your heart and with belief in yourself. The more you are nourished by this legacy of light from your past, the more you become a bearer of the legacy for those that will be supported by your light in the future. That's a really amazing thing to think about, really, is that by healing ourselves, by shining our own light, we are more able and capable to help other people, on their journeys and to be supporters. This is a sacred endowment from the great universal source of light to humanity. There is a light of wisdom, creativity, radical courage, love and respect that is passed down from the heart of each generation to the next. The legacy of light is your spiritual birthright to refine and shine your essence into the world. To be like a sun, radiant and unapologetic for your nature. The Oracle of Legacy of Light comes to you when you need confirmation that a creative choice you are making or have made or soon will make is one that is in alignment with your sacred purpose and spiritual path of healing and growth. The legacy of light cannot be ignored without some detriment to your sense of well-being. If you are asking about a particular question and drew this card, then part of the answer to your question is that the issue at hand is one of utmost importance to your spiritual growth, even if it seems like a really insignificant question. The energy around this matter is relevant to your sacred birthright to shine. Perhaps you need to trust more, to know that all is well no matter what appears to be, and to ask for help and believe that you deserve to receive it. The legacy of light also asks you to call on the unconditionally loving support that exists for you every day. This light will offer you all manner of assistance. To not call upon it is like starving because you believe you have no means to acquire food, whilst a feast lays before your eyes. If only you will partake in it. Perhaps you worry that you are asking too much of those who wish to assist you. However, this is a mistaken belief. Those beings of unconditional love who assist us spiritually every day need to shine just as we do. When they are embraced for their purpose to assist with the spiritual growth of humanity through unconditional love, they too become part of the legacy of light, shining bright with love and helping to illuminate. If you see, it's like the energy passed down through our ancestors. Helping to illuminate the world. Although you may doubt your goodness at times, and being human doesn't mean there will be some very dark moments on your path, this oracle affirms that you are coming from love, with the pure intention to simply live your life and do your best in the circumstances in which you find yourself. You are being asked to avail yourself of the help that is awaiting your request, so that your own light can become part of the greater shining legacy of divine brilliance made manifest upon the earth. So I love that, and it reminds me of a poem that I want to share in the self-love challenge that I will be running for free very soon. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Okay, on to the second querent. $36, where are you? This is listening for your truth. And I already feel that this is going to be very spot on to what I was saying before. Truth speaks to us constantly, but not always in words. It may communicate through a feeling that is hard to put into words, but brings an inexplicable sense of peace, trust, and the knowledge that somehow everything is going to work out perfectly, even if there's little evidence of how it is all going to happen. You are being asked to listen for the truths beneath the words rather than the superficial message of the words themselves. This is especially true of for the communications of those around you. This is that proof is in the pudding, really, isn't it? The actions speak louder than words. You will begin to hear fear in the words and actions of those around you, even if as they preach love. Listen deeper, listen for the truth. This oracle comes with a message of truth for you. You are hearing something that is not being said, and what you are hearing is truthful. You may feel as though you are the only one that is really ready to hear it or see it. Perhaps you've been working in a situation or loving in a relationship where truth is consistently denied. We live in a world where truth is frequently avoided out of fear of what it might reveal. At the basis of such actions, consciously or not, is a deep sense of unhealed toxic shame. If you or someone else is fearful that the truth will expose rather than free and heal, then some personal healing is required. It is time for letting go of old wounds in favour of a greater sense of self-love and acceptance. You are being asked to love yourself enough to honour the truth, even if you feel you are the only one doing so. Sacred rebels need truth like lungs need oxygen. Truth keeps the energy of life flowing through the rebellious heart. Lies dampen the spirit of the sacred rebel. Even if those with less awakened hearts fear the truth, You must not turn away from it. Don't resist this state of affairs. Perhaps your job is to show that truth can be witnessed, even when many may want to hide from it. What others do is always their choice. But through your honourable deeds, done with integrity, you will be set free, no matter what the outcome. You are a truth seeker. Never deny or try to quieten this down to make others comfortable. You are meant to be an agitator at times, even though you don't have to confront people to do it. You don't necessarily have to say a word, though sometimes you will. Often you will agitate in the most loving sense by unveiling truth simply through your knowings. Hold compassion for the truth you behold. Do not use them as knives to cut another or yourself with harshness, but as a clear insight that allows you to loosen the knots that bind, simply by knowing which thread to gently tug. This oracle brings you guidance if you've been worn down and depressed by the lies, gossip, deceit, or backstabbing going on around you. Don't fret. Get out in nature, spend some time to communicate with the infinite. Healing will come to you now, no matter how many times, in how many ways, or by how many tongues untruth is spoken. You know what you know in your sacred, rebellious heart. That truth is your connection to the living truth of life itself. Don't give up, just open up to healing. And know that the truth always eventually prevails. So absolutely loving those cards, and once again, thank you both for your messages, and hopefully by sharing those stories with me, you're also sharing them with the wider community and helping those that are going through similar things. Send you all blessing, love and light. Bye for now.